Alright guys, TouchCobbit back again today. Hope you're enjoying your Tuesday so far, and today we find ourselves once again talking about gentlemen's agreements. This past weekend of the New York home series, we saw a very interesting meta, very slow meta, as we will talk about in a second here. 3 ARs being pulled out on the majority of maps definitely helped some teams, definitely hurt some other teams as well. I was probably going to talk about this week. However, the pros have decided, actually no, the M4 now is too strong and the MP5 is too weak. We need to get the MP5 back to a decent level. So 10mm that was GA'd along with all the other ammo conversions a couple of weeks ago that we talked about is now apparently free game once again, as Skrapz talked about in a few minutes here, and I also, I believe, Attach confirmed it on stream last night. Skrapz isn't particularly happy with the situation given all the metas that have been in play over the last several weeks. Yeah, pros aren't particularly happy with this, and I think it's kind of frustrating to see from a fan's perspective. Like, if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, wanted to mention this, every weekend or every event weekend we do this draft buff, draft royale fantasy thing, and I'm really happy to announce that Draft Buff have implemented this tap-to-grab skin into the Draft Buff app. So there's like the banana stand, the store that you can go to and purchase this bad boy if you have a few quid spare. Obviously, I appreciate all you guys liking the video, commenting, subscribing, all of it. Like, I read every comment, I really appreciate it. Obviously, thanks to my fantastic patrons as well that are in the description box below and the $10 ones at the bottom of the video. But this is now another way to support the channel if you want to go out of your way. And this weekend, we're going to be doing a giveaway as well for the London home series with Draft Buff. So join as always. Last week we had something like 1,600 people, which was crazy. This was the #1 team from Danzy, so Arcetes, Waskin, Abizi, Asim, and Kleenex ended up taking the win. These are the top 8, so you don't live it, Blesser, Connor, Serge, I'm not exactly how to pronounce that, but it has Mario in it, Danny Silas, Fetus, the Wiener Dog, and Danzy were the top 8 last weekend. And this weekend, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. So the #1 place team, or the #1 individual, will receive a team jersey, I believe, of their choice, and then the top 5 finishers will receive this tap-to-grab skin. So pretty cool stuff. The link will be down below as always, and I believe we're going to be hoping to continue this in future weekends. Here it is on full display. This is the team I'm going for this weekend: Hollow, Skrapz, Max, Skies, and Illy. But I'm sure, as always, you guys can do a better job. Let's move on to the topic of discussion for today then, surrounding this 10mm and the whole meta as it stands right now. Slacks did this tweet a while ago saying that, look, the AR was amazing on 60Hz, probably the best gun. We play on 12Hz for a few weeks, so a lot of the pros practicing on 12Hz servers instead of 60Hz. We talked about it at the time as well, but they're broken, and now they ban every decent sub. Conclusion, game is worse, and I'm not even having fun. So what he's saying is really that the AR, i.e. the M4, is a better weapon on the 60Hz servers that they play the official matches on, compared to the 12Hz custom game servers, which they are often scrimming on, which what Slacks is saying that it made the pros believe that the M4 wasn't actually as good as it really is, and then when it comes to playing on actual 60Hz, the M4 is better than, well, it perceives to be when they are playing like scrims and stuff, and therefore the M4 was going to be too strong. Then he follows up with this: M4 is unreal on 60Hz, wow. And well, we really did see that in full effect this weekend, because Brandon Novus Vita, I think is a Paris Legion analyst guy, he tweeted this out, and I thought this was really interesting, looking at progression of engagements by event. So this entire season we've seen the number of engagements per 10 minutes relatively increased throughout the season. We've seen some more MP5s in play. However, over the last few weekends, we've seen a significant nosedive, and this most recent one in New York absolutely fell off a cliff in terms of the number of engagements per minute in Hardpoint and Domination, mainly because there's way more ARs appearing on the map. A lot of maps we're seeing 3 ARs, 4 ARs even at times. I don't even think we got to see Azir Cave this weekend, but if we had it done, I imagine that would have been honestly like a 4-5 AR meta. Would have been pretty crazy. Pretty obvious to me that it's not the best to watch. I think that really the game works best in traditional Call of Duty, at least, especially boots on the ground, when you've got, well, at least you've got, if you have only 2 weapons, that being 1 AR and 1 sub, you need really 3 subs, 2 ARs, and if you are going to have 3 weapons like last season, then you can kind of get away with like 1 ICR, 2 Maddoxes, 2 Sorgs, that type of thing. But even at the end of the game in Black Ops 4, some people were pulling up 3, especially on certain maps. So look, I just think the meta works better when you have more SMGs than ARs. That's just my personal opinion, and I think the pros think of something pretty similar. So what Skrapz then tweets out, this is back to this class we go. A couple of people moaning about 10mm. So really saying that some of the pros have been frustrated by the fact that the MP5 can't kill anything anymore because they decided to get rid of the 10mm and use the 9mm Parabellum rounds. Now it's always been pretty interesting, right? Because I think the reason why they got rid of the 10mm was in part because yes, it can beam the the M4 at range like it's done the entire season, but then when the MP5 got nerfed, people started using the Uzi with the 41 AE rounds, and people realize, like, damn, the Uzi is actually better than the MP5. We can't be having that. MP5 is our gun. We've been using it the whole year. It has nice iron sights. It sounds good. I honestly think these kind of things do come into consideration for what the pros want to be using in terms of weaponry, and they decided, okay, we can't have that. We just have to get rid of ammo conversions, and we'll deal with the MP5 as it is with the 9mm. However, now they're going back on that, and they're saying, well, look, okay, the M4 is actually a bit too strong. We need 3 ARs or 3 SMGs on the map now. It's probably better for balance. So let's bring the 10mm back and un-GA it on the MP5 so that that can now be the go-to weapon. As Skrapz shows here, underbarrel foregrip, which I'm pretty sure is the one to use. 10mm stipple grip take, sleight of hand, F-tac, collapsible stock as well, pretty much been the go-to setup for a large part of the season after Merc foregrip got banned out and all that kind of stuff, or GA'd. I think it's actually technically banned out from the CDL rule sets. So as Chronocelia until says, 10mm is back, only 10mm is back, typically, right? Not 41A for the Uzi, so nah, just 10mm. So pretty clear from Skrapz and pretty clear from the pros that they don't want the Uzi back in the play for various reasons, and they've decided that, look, okay, the 10mm can come back on the MP5. We're going to keep this MP5 M4 meta, and hopefully the 10mm is going to get us back to a point where we have 3 SMGs on most maps rather than 3 ARs, which I do think is probably a better thing to watch, but it's kind of just frustrating to see how this whole thing has gone down, especially with what Slacked is saying, that actually in practice there was more MP5s in play, but when you go on to this the 60 Hz environment, the M4 gets significantly better, and the fact that they actually have to buff the MP5 to even keep up with it by allowing the 10mm back in the game. If GAs weren't even a thing, we wouldn't even be having this conversation, but yeah, it's honestly crazy. And as Skrapz says, played well, what is that, like 10 million different metas on this game. It literally makes me lose full. So he was obviously not happy with the fact he was using an AR this weekend. What does that now mean for the squad? Is Shawnee going to be running the second AR? Like, how is it going to go, right? Because Skrapz is using the AR this weekend, and it does beg the question, I think, when we look at these well, the participants in the league right now. This weekend, pretty much every team was going to 3 ARs, and, well, obviously some teams that benefits and some teams it does not. We talked about how, well, the Chicago Huntsmen were benefited to some degree, especially when Pristini could prove he could use it to a great degree. Royal Ravens, of course, were definitely a team that liked a 3 AR meta. However, that doesn't look like it's going to happen going forwards. Probably with the 10mm in play, I imagine we go back to like a 2 AR, 3 SMG meta. It's not guaranteed what this really means. As Skrapz says, like, things are changing, but I imagine we get to a point where probably 2 ARs, 3 SMGs is what we're going to be looked at for the rest of the season, which I'm happy with, don't get me wrong, but it's just a strange way that we've even got there. And of course, it does beg the question, like, which teams benefit and, well, potentially lose out from this one. I definitely think a team like the Dallas Empire will be quite happy if Clayster and Crimsix can use the 2 ARs, because they probably don't really want to have any of Shotzi Ukulele on the SMG, on the ARs. But maybe that's fine. I mean, Sim was doing a pretty good job with it this weekend. I'm sure they could as well. But there's definitely some team dynamics which are probably going to be pretty happy with this. I mean, you look at a team like Florida Mutineers, for example. I'll show a clip from Awakening right at the end of this video. But, you know, Sky's obviously the main AR. The fact that you can have Awakening as your second without having to worry about having Ferro on the AR on all the maps, when he's obviously pretty comfortable with the MP5 in a lot of situations as well. And maybe Mutineers in a 3 AR meta are thinking in the back of their mind, like, yeah, we've got Morks on the bench, maybe we should consider bringing him back, like, who knows, right? So yeah, definitely some questions to be answered. Of course, there's an event coming up this weekend once again, so we're going to see very, very soon indeed exactly how this all does play out on the main stage, or at least the online main stage. Intrigued to hear your thoughts down below for sure. Just to finish off the video then from Celium, so there's this 11 Alive, like, an esports competitor thing going on right now. Celium has been nominated for Outstanding Esports Competitor for the Atlanta Sports Awards, so that's what it is. Make sure to support him. So pretty cool stuff. I'll leave this link down below if you want to give Celium the vote, because, you know, obviously got to respect the Call of Duty community here and represent the boys. And then just to finish off the video, this clip from Awakening, just honestly, this is the M4 in action. I'll put it up on the big screen because he's absolutely frying in this one, clearly liking the AR meta in this clip at least, but, you know, who knows if things are going to change significantly. But probably I imagine Awakening will still be on the second AR to Skies, but, you know, we'll have to see how things develop. Intrigued to hear your thoughts down below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new as always. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.